7 mistakes riders make riding in a foreign country. Number 7, thinking you own the road. This is primarily for my US friends, but probably applies to peeps from other Western places as well. In the USA, we like to ride like we're entitled to the same space as a car on the road. This is probably because we ride big bikes and lane splitting is illegal in most places. When you're in a foreign country, you need to assume that you're entitled to only the space you occupy, not the full width of the lane. Howdy peeps, my name is Steve McKay, and I've spent a lot of time on a motorcycle. I'm lucky enough to have ridden in over a dozen foreign countries. Travel is one of my favorite things. If you really want to meet people and get immersed into a foreign culture, there is no better way than to do it on the back of a motorcycle. I know riding in a foreign country can be very intimidating for people, so today I'd like to share 7 mistakes that riders make when traveling in a foreign country. And one story of my overseas riding. Number 6, making a right turn on red. Now, I've ridden in a lot of countries, and only in the USA and Canada do they allow a right turn on red. Now, when I've traveled abroad, I've asked locals if a right turn on red is legal there, and universally I get a look of astonishment that such a thing could even be possible. Now, you will see this a lot in Mexico, but it's not actually legal there. Number 5, thinking that the way you ride at home is the only way to ride. Now, when you travel, you get to experience new things, different foods, different languages, different customs. You don't travel halfway around the world to eat the something that you can get around the corner. And you need to put yourself in the same mindset when it comes to the rules of the road. An example of this is that in the US, we have a very win-lose way of looking at traffic. I have a green light, you have a red light, I win, you lose. This is not something that's really practiced in much of the world. Many cultures view traveling on a road as a shared experience. How can we both get where we're going with a minimum of interruption? Maybe if we both slow down and each have the same level of inconvenience, we will both get there a little quicker. When you travel, embrace the opportunity to experience the culture of the road. Number 4, not observing local riders closely. Watch how other folks ride. One of the best ways to get into an accident is to ride your bike in an unexpected way. When you're in another country, how you ride back home may appear very odd to the locals. Sure, you may think that some of the local customs are insane, but to the locals, it's the standard. Other drivers on the road are going to assume you are just like every other rider they've ever seen. If you do something unexpected, it's much more likely you'll have an unfortunate incident. Number 3, not obeying local traffic laws. I know many of us at home don't follow the rules of the road exactly. Certainly, many of us speed, roll stop signs, or do other various minor violations. But when you're in a foreign country, you are a guest, and you don't do in other people's homes what you do in your own. Having a run-in with foreign law enforcement is not my idea of a fun time. Keep the speed down and obey obvious rules. Also, remember that in some countries, they don't pay cops a lot, and they may be looking for other sources of income. A speeding foreigner can present a pretty tempting target. Number 2, pushing your limits on the ride. I know many of us like the adrenaline rush that can only be found when we're pushing our limits and doing exciting things. But the last thing you want to be doing is discovering the limits of the local hospital. I know none of us ride a motorcycle because they're safe. We ride them because they're fun. But trips are special and rare, and having to spend an extended time in a foreign hospital really should be avoided. Number 1, not doing research on what it takes to ride legally in a country. Here in the USA, we all know that we have to travel with our license and registration and proof of insurance. Other countries may have other restrictions. Make sure you know what you need. Even if you're renting a bike, knowing what is required before you leave the lot is a lot better than discovering that you don't have something you need at the side of the road while chatting with an officer. Many countries require an international driving permit. This is a simple document written in many languages that helps an officer understand the information on your driver's license. In the USA, you can only get this from AAA. It's pretty cheap and it only takes a few minutes. Lastly, a remembrance. One of my favorite trips was a tour in Vietnam. I went from Hanoi in the north to Saigon in the south on a dirt bike. This was a tour with We Ride Vietnam. The owner Hai runs a great tour, and I have a lot of fond memories of that trip. I'll leave a link for his tours in the description below, and you can also look at my shorts for some of the odd things that happened on that trip. I loved riding in Vietnam. Vietnam has the easiest to understand local riding customs of any country I've ever been to. The right-of-way rules in the USA are complex, and they have a lot of exceptions. In Vietnam, it's very easy to understand who has right-of-way. It's determined by gross vehicle weight. The heaviest vehicle always has the right-of-way. Are you on a motorcycle? Is that a truck backing out onto the highway in front of you? Yes, the truck has the right-of-way. It will always have the right-of-way. Now, this may not be written down in any Vietnamese driving manual. I have no idea what the law says. I do know it's how the locals drive, so you better understand that when you're riding. Now, on that trip was an Australian that had spent considerable time in Vietnam, and he had taken several tours. However, he absolutely refused to believe he was riding like a fool. The standard for motos in Vietnam is to ride on the right. Most bikes are under 150 cc's, and the speed limit for bikes is lower than it is for cars. He was constantly getting angry at other drivers that forced him from the middle of the lane over to the right. Now, he was the kind of person that wasn't really interested in other people and enjoying local culture. And I think he really enjoyed being angry all the time. While I had a great trip, it would have been better without him. Don't be that guy. I hope this list of mistakes riders make when traveling abroad was useful to you. I hope you are inspired to take a trip abroad on a bike. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share this with your travel companions. Think I missed something important? Let me know below. You might want to check out some of my other videos on how to travel by motorcycle. Thanks for watching, and may you have travel and good fortune in your future.